नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रसाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी प्रश्चात देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Prabhupada Paramahans Puricharya, Astottara Sashri Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahans Puricharya, Astottara Sashri Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय. नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवास अद्भुत भक्त की जय. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोधाम की जय. वृंदावन धाम की जय. मथुरा धाम की जय. मायापुर नदी धाम की जय. जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय. गंगा मई जमुना मई की जय. तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय. समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai, Jai, Jai. Thank you so much, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And welcome to everyone for Sri Caitanya Caritamrta reading with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami and friends. Maharaj hasn't showed up yet, but he didn't send me so far any notice of his absence. Just a moment. No, we're expecting him. He usually lets me know if not. So tonight we're starting, by the way, tonight is Thursday, April 11th, 2024 in New York anyway. And this evening we're starting with Sri Caitanya Caritamrta Adi Leela, Chapter 7, text number 147, according to my notes. So thank you again, everyone, for being here. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Take a moment here. I'll post the text there so I can keep track of where we are for next session. Emata Sarva Sutra Vyakhyana Shuniya Sakala Sanyasi Kahe Vinaya Kariya. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has just spoken, and now we hear the reaction of the Mayavadi sannyasis of Benares. When all the Mayavadi sannyasis thus heard the explanation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on the basis of Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana, they spoke very humbly. Purport: everyone who actually desires to understand the Vedanta philosophy must certainly accept the explanation of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Vaishnava Acharyas, who have also commented on the Vedanta Sutra according to the principles of Bhakti Yoga. After hearing the explanation of the Vedanta Sutra from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the sannyasis, headed by Prakashananda Saraswati, became very humble and obedient to the Lord, and they spoke as follows. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistang Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Bandehang Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitang Stang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitang Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the way Prabhupada presents this purport is very straightforward, just as Caitanya Mahaprabhu has presented the sutras of the Vedanta Sutra and his explanation of them in a very straightforward way. One time Prabhupada was in an airport, and as often would happen in airports, reporters would be chasing him around with cameras and microphones. And one time, I forget which airport, one reporter asked him, "What makes you different from other Buddhists?" And Prabhupada stopped walking, turned around, looked at this reporter and said, "We have nothing to do with this Hinduism or Buddhism. We are speaking the truth, and if you are truthful, you will accept it." Which was not the kind of answer this gentleman was expecting, but Prabhupada was speaking to him on a completely different level. If you are truthful, you will accept it. So here, what we have is Caitanya Mahaprabhu speaking the truth to these Mayavadi sannyasis who are steeped in this wrong understanding of the Vedanta Sutra, and they're accepting it. As we see, they accept it. The qualifications for them to be able to understand, Prabhupada mentions at the end of the purport, they became very humble and obedient to the Lord. Because this is the platform of learning anything whatsoever. You go to college, you go to any kind of school or any kind of training you want. If you want to get any benefit from your training or education, you have to be humble and submissive, or else you can't learn anything at all. There will be a wall up, and neither will you learn anything, or neither will your teacher be inclined to teach you anything, because you think you know everything. Krishna says, Tadvidi pranipatena. Pranipatena, the first qualification. You fall down flat and you submit, and that's how you learn. And to the degree we are materially invested, though, in our false ego, whatever pride issues that we may have, that will contradict our ability to learn anything. And says, after hearing the explanation of Vedanta Sutra, they became very humble and obedient. He changed their hearts by his own humility, by his showing them the Brahman effulgence. Let's not forget he did that. He really hit them on their home turf, what they were going for, that he gave to them. And now they're starting to express their own humility, and they really, their hearts have changed. And we can only hope the same for ourselves. Maharaj is not yet showed up, so I can only speculate as to reasons for that. I mean, Maharaj does show up even on moving trains and cars. He has yet to tune in during a plane ride, but I wouldn't put it past him to be able to do that sometime. But it would be nice if someone had some comments or questions on this verse. Otherwise, I'll hand the next verse to Mahesh Pandit Prabhu, and we'll take it from there. All right.
Okay.
So text number 148, if you...
148, okay. Vedamaya Murti Tumi Sakshat Narayana Shama Aparadha Purveye Kulina Nindana. Translation. Dear sir, you are Vedic knowledge personified and are directly Narayan himself. Kindly excuse us for the offenses we previously committed by criticizing you. The complete path of Bhakti Yoga is based upon the process of becoming humble and submissive. By the grace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the Mayavadi sannyasis were very humble and submissive after hearing his explanation of Vedanta Sutra, and they begged to be pardoned for the offenses that they had committed by criticizing the Lord for simply chanting and dancing, not taking part in the study of Vedanta Sutra. We are propagating the Krishna consciousness movement simply by following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We may not be very well versed in Vedanta Sutra codes and may not understand their meaning, but we follow the footsteps of Acharya. And because of our strictly and obediently following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is to be understood that we know everything regarding Vedanta Sutra. So as Ekendra Prabhu mentioned very nicely for the previous verse, you have to be humble and submissive in order to get anything you want. That's the ABC. It's just first thing, first, humble and submissive. And if you are not, then you miss out. In the beginning of this movement, very early in 1966, when Prabhupada came to open that center at 2nd Avenue, in the beginning, all these hippies, they were very submissive. So not so much humble, but submissive, what Prabhupada had to say, and they listened very carefully. And they were bringing Prabhupada some gifts and some whatever they can. And also they were humble also, yes, and submissive. That's how they all started out with Prabhupada, and they all got the mercy from Prabhupada. Prabhupada himself was very humble and very submissive, because he let them stay at the temple there and gave them nice prasadam, cooked for them himself. And just by watching Prabhupada doing all these things, the devotees become themselves very humble. So, and like you said, first thing is tat viddhi paranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. Yes, that has to be there. Otherwise, you don't get any knowledge or understanding. So Vedanta Sutra, which is very exalted scripture, but then Vyasadeva understood our quality in Kali Yuga, so he gives natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra, which is Srimad-Bhagavatam. Very nicely explained, Srimad-Bhagavatam, because Vedanta Sutra itself is like a sutras, and it's very hard to understand. And thank God he gave us Srimad-Bhagavatam in a very simple form, Vedanta Sutra, Srimad-Bhagavatam. So we have, it also says that by following footsteps of Acharya and because of our strictly and obediently following them and following footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is to be understood that we know everything regarding Vedanta Sutra. So we have to follow Mahajans. And, by following them, we get some understanding about the scripture, which is very hard to get into that. So in the beginning, those Mayavadi sannyasis were very offensive to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not knowing who he was and what his mission is. But then later on, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained everything and showed them who he is, they all become humble. And later on, we will see that they were all joined Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in dancing and chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And they all got benefited. And Prakashananda Saraswati had so many disciples. And can you imagine, in just one shot, they all become Hare Krishnas. Just like Prabhupada came, he tried so much in India, but was not successful. Then he came to America, and with that good fortune, one by one they become devotees. First they initiated 11 brahmanas, then 11 devotees, and then there's a marriage, then another 4, and then they started going to for Harinam, bring more people, more and more. And this is how it started. And here in one shot, so many sannyasis became Hare Krishnas because their leader followed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Very important. Okay. Anything else?
Oh, thank you so much, Prabhu. Jai, Jai, Jai. Prabhin Krishna Prabhu has a question, and maybe if you'd like, you can field this, Panditji. He says, how did they, meaning how did the Mayavadi sannyasis, conclude that he, Lord Chaitanya, is Narayan himself? I had an idea on that, but I'd love to hear from you first.
Well, you go ahead, Prabhu, because I was missing something before.
Missing?
I didn't read before those verses before that, so you go ahead.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, there's various ways you can look at this. One is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu desired to give these sannyasis his mercy. So the Lord is Amogha, his purpose is never thwarted. So simply be out of his desire, that's what he wanted from them. He wanted to give them his mercy. So therefore they were able to understand. They became humble. The other thing is yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado yasya prasadan nagati kutopi. Just by him desiring to give them his mercy, that's how they got it. Another way to look at it is these are Mayavadi sannyasis, probably accustomed to greeting one another with the term Om Namo Narayanaya. So they're already very liberally throwing around this idea that, yes, you are Narayan. And then when they actually see Narayan, oh, yes, you are Narayan too. So many ways that could be looked at. Yes, and Tulsi Priya mentions also, don't they think all sannyasis are Narayan? Tulsi Priya now has a question. My question is, how were they criticizing and challenging Mahaprabhu if he's also Narayan? Well, they didn't get it that he was Narayan before, apparently. They thought he was out of it. They were trying to bring him up to speed, and
but if that's the standard that all the sannyasis are all Narayan, is he like baby Narayan or something, and they have to train him up?
baby Narayan. I mean, there's Daridra Narayan, there's this Narayan, there's that Narayan, from what particular point of view. So they're trying to bring him up to the proper standard of Narayan, and then they find out that, wait a minute, he's actually
Newbie Narayan.
Narayan. He's Narayan.
Newbie Narayan.
Yeah.
So as far as myself is concerned, I didn't read previous, but didn't he show his effulgence? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And Panchatattva Prabhu also mentions their humble hearing was accepted by the Lord as devotional service also. Mm-hmm. So they had a lot going for them. They were in the path of Lord Chaitanya's mercy, and there was no not accepting him as Narayan as far as the Lord was concerned. So that was the only conclusion that they were going to reach in this context. Murari Gupta Prabhu says, Hare Krishna. I find it an interesting point that Lord Chaitanya could defeat anyone in philosophical argument as he did as an arrogant Nimai Pandit. But for his preaching, he humbled his opponents in a very sweet way so that their hearts could change.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So also when somewhere I read that after going through all this impersonalism and impersonal philosophy, these sannyasis, if by chance, if they meet devotee, they have a chance to go back to in personal way also. So the devotees, they are really, really merciful, and they can change anybody's heart, and especially those impersonalists that they're by having misfortune, they got into this way, but somehow or other, if they meet a devotee, a pure devotee, then it changes their heart. Because to start with, they all have all the qualities, except they don't accept Krishna. So that's a big zero. And then if they add that one in there, they become very staunch devotee also. Yeah. All right.
Yes, thank you for that. And I'm also reminded of an exchange that Srila Prabhupada had with Satsvarupa Maharaj very, very early. Satsvarupa Maharaj was offering some service to Prabhupada, bringing him mangoes regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And he was about to leave Prabhupada's apartment one evening, and Prabhupada stopped him and he says, this exchange is not a mechanical thing. If you love me, then I will love you.
Mm. Yeah, I was just reading that. And and then he said, he's a good boy. And then all the devotees started laughing. I said, no. He is doing good service. And then everybody became serious.
Yeah. Thank you. Tulsi Priya, you have a hand up.
Hare Krishna. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. I was just thinking, kind of riffing off of what Mahesh Pandit Prabhuji says, that these sannyasis, one can take it, or at least I'm taking it this way. Maybe I'm speculating, I'm not sure. But they were sincere, but they had limited information, or they hadn't been given the right information. And so maybe they were ready, and then they were, they may have been criticizing and challenging, but they were, Prabhupada in certain places, which I cannot remember right now, he speaks highly of any transcendentalist, even if they're a Mayavadi, because they're searching after the absolute truth, and they may have a wrong conception, but that's their desire. They're searching after the absolute truth. And so when somebody is at that point and they can't go any farther, then you need special mercy. And for some reason, this reminded me of a personal experience when I first started going to the temple in Miami, which was long before I joined. And I remember I was at the Sunday feast class, and they asked for questions and answers. And I think it might have been Kalakanta Prabhu. I think he was the temple president at the time. And I raised my hand and I said, "Aren't we all God?" And he said, he gave me the most radiant smile, like, "Oh my God, honey, you are just so, But he looked thrilled to hear such a question. And I don't remember what he said. But I'm just thinking that was the best information I had at the time, because I hadn't really been given the philosophy. I'd known devotees for a long time, but I just didn't know any better. So I'm thinking, these sannyasis, they were sincere as far as they could be. So what's left when you can't go any farther with your own sincerity? You need special mercy. That's like a baby crying to be picked up, The baby doesn't cause, the baby can't make the mother pick it up, but the baby's crying kind of forces the mother to pick it up if she's any kind of mother, So in the same way, anybody who's sincere, even if they're on the wrong track, I think they get a chance to get that special mercy. Hare Krishna.
Jai, thank you. Good. Panchatattva Prabhu says, it's extraordinary that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu completely defeated, in detail, Shankaracharya's impersonalist philosophy, which these sannyasis in his line must have studied for years and years together, and they accepted his arguments. These are not ordinary souls, unlike so many persons today who hear the truth and reject it. Yes, Panchatattva Prabhu, are you available to read our next verse, which is text number 149?
Yeah, the microphone's working. It's a miracle.
Jai.
Text 149. Say hoite sannyasir hiri gelaman Krishna Krishna nam sada karaye grahan. From that moment, when the Mayavadi sannyasis heard the explanation of the Vedanta Sutra from the Lord, their minds changed. And on the instruction of Caitanya Mahaprabhu, they too chanted, Krishna, Krishna, always. Purport. In this connection, it may be mentioned that sometimes the Sahajya class of devotees opine that Prakashananda Saraswati and Prabodhananda Saraswati are the same man. Prabodhananda Saraswati was a great Vaishnava devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Prakashananda Saraswati, the head of the Mayavadi sannyasis in Benares, was a different person. Prabodhananda Saraswati belonged to the Ramanuja Sampradaya, whereas Prakashananda Saraswati belonged to the Sankaracharya Sampradaya. Prabodhananda Saraswati wrote a number of books, among which are the Caitanya Caritamrta, Radha Rasa Shuddha Nidhi, Sangita Madhava, Vrindavan Shataka, and Navadvip Shataka. While traveling in southern India, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Prabodhananda Saraswati, who had two brothers, Venkatabhatta and Tirumalaya Bhatta, who were Vaishnavas of the Ramanuja Sampradaya. Gopal Bhatta Goswami was the nephew of Prabodhananda Saraswati. From historical records, it is found that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu traveled in South India in the year 1433 Shakabda, Anno Domini 1511, during the Chaturmasya period. And it was at that time that he met Prabodhananda, who belonged to the Ramanuja Sampradaya. How then could the same person meet him as a member of the Sankara Sampradaya in 1535 Shakabda 2 years later? It is to be concluded that the guess of the Sahajya Sampradaya that Prabodhananda Saraswati and Prakashananda Saraswati were the same man is a mistaken idea. So it's interesting that Srila Prabhupada chose this purport to clarify this. In clarifying this matter, he also highlights a rather persistent flaw of those who want to speculate on the life of Mahaprabhu, and sometimes they come up with these guesses and speculations while in pursuit of diminishing the position of Mahaprabhu or diminishing the position of different personalities that Mahaprabhu had as associates. So Srila Prabhupada is actually taking pains here to make sure that everyone understands that Prabodhananda Saraswati and Prakashananda Saraswati are two different personalities. Both great personalities, as we have seen here in these pages. And if you get a chance, sometimes these types of these books, or translations, presentations of, say, Caitanya Caritamrta and so forth are available. And the prose that Prabodhananda Saraswati writes, some verses of which Srila Prabhupada would quote as included in his writings, are quite beautiful and deep and philosophical. I don't know if we have any particular contributions in terms of literature from Prakashananda Saraswati. I don't know of anything, but he certainly contributed a lot of disciples as well as his own self at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that's certainly a very great qualification. And as I mentioned earlier, both he and his disciples must have deeply imbibed the essentially poisonous impersonalist philosophy, Mayavad philosophy, not just impersonalism, but, and a brand of impersonalism that criticized those who chant the holy names and dance in ecstasy and worship the personal form of the absolute truth. So for him to have an about face along with his disciples meant that, well, they certainly meant that they were greatly blessed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But it also meant that they came from an age when people were still able to hear something contrary to their belief system and have that eureka moment and that moment of self-reflection, self-examination, which is so wanting in today's world. People don't do this anymore. They're fighting, tooth to tooth, jowl to jowl, and claw to claw to establish that they're right. And when someone else says something that's contrary to their preconceived notions, they don't even hear it. They're just waiting to speak. So this is a misfortune. But even though people are so unqualified in this day and age, they may get the opportunity, and so many have, by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to have this change of heart as exemplified in the Mayavadi sannyasis, who can no longer be called Mayavadi sannyasis at this point in the text. We can't refer to them anymore in that way, for they've seen the truth. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yes, I was thinking that as you were going, describing the sorry conditions of today, that the best we can do is to fill people's teeth and jowls with enough prasadam so that they can gradually become humble and accept.
So I have a similar.
That was great.
I have a similar explanation when when Prabhupada came to New York. Somehow he got in touch with Dr. Mishra, and Dr. Mishra was kind of impersonalist. He was attached to that impersonal philosophy, and Prabhupada respected Dr. Mishra, even though their opinion were differing. But because he helped him, Dr. Mishra helped Prabhupada so much, and especially when he was staying with him, and later on he went to some other apartment that Dr. Mishra provided also. But here you can see that Prabhupada was cooking for Dr. Mishra. And by cooking and giving him nice tender prasadam, he won over Dr. Mishra's heart. And even though they had differences, Dr. Mishra loved him so much. And he said that he saved his life just by cooking for him and giving Krishna Prasad. So here's a Mayavadi person that Prabhupada had to deal with. But Prabhupada dealt with him so nicely that he got benefited. He would have been died. He would have been dead by then, long ago. But because of Prabhupada fed him nice prasadam, very nutritious prasadam, he lived. And of course, Dr. Mishra gave him beginnings a lot of support also, even though they had differences. So you can see that you can also see the parallel with the Prakashananda Saraswati and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Hi, Prabhu. Thank you for that. Yes. And Tulsi Priya underscores your points by saying that prasadam is the answer to all questions, challenges, doubts, and weakness of heart.
Yes.
Also, Tulsi Priya, you have a hand up. Please go ahead.
Yes. I'm really sorry Maharaj isn't here because he could either answer or shoot my speculative question down immediately. But my question is that when I was hearing about all these sannyasis, for some reason it was reminding me of how when Lord Ramachandra was going through the forest, and these sages were involved in their deep meditation, and when they saw the Lord, they developed conjugal feelings for him, but of course they could not act on them because they were all males. And so they, as far as I understand, they took birth as gopis the next time the Lord appeared. So I was wondering, if there was any, and we read in Caitanya Caritamrta that, different personalities in Krishna Lila have their corresponding personalities in Chaitanya Lila. So I was wondering if there was a personalities or groups of personalities that are represented in Krishna Lila by these Mayavadi sannyasis, or some other era of Krishna's appearance.
That's a very interesting question. Panchatattva Prabhu, any thoughts on this?
I would not know the answer to that question. I can say with great certainty that no one would be entering into, would be appearing in, I know Mother Tulsi Priya isn't suggesting this, but that no one would be entering into the pastimes of Gaura Lila with feelings of conjugal rust towards Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Except for maybe a few sahajas. But you weren't suggesting that. I know what you're saying. I have no idea. I have no idea who if there's some connection. That would have to be a deep dive somewhere. We need to consult someone of great authority on Chaitanya Lila.
Yeah, I want to do the philosophical equivalent of sitting on my hands, because I'm tempted to say could be this, could be that, but I won't.
All right, Krishna. We are, let's see, it's 7:41. Susharu Deva Prabhu, we'd love to hear from you if you'd like to read our next text, which is number 150. Is that possible?
150. Mate Swami Aparad Savakare Krishna Nam Korila Prasad. Thus Lord Chaitanya excused. Thus Lord Chaitanya excused all the offenses of the Mayavadi sannyasis and very mercifully blessed them with Krishna Nam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the mercy incarnation of the personality of God. He is addressed by Sri Rupa Goswami as Mahavadanyavatar, or the most magnanimous incarnation. Sri Rupa Goswami also says, Parunya Tirna Kalau. It is only by his mercy that he has descended in the age of Kali. Here it is exemplified. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not like to see Mayavadi sannyasis because he thought of them as offenders, the lotus feet of Krishna. But here he excuses them. This is an example of preaching. Caitanya Caritamrta. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches us that those whom preachers meet are almost all offenders who are opposed to Krishna consciousness. But it is the preacher's duty to convince them of the Krishna consciousness movement and then induce them to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Our propagation of the Sankirtan movement is continuing despite many opponents. And people are taking up this chanting process, even in remote parts of the world, like Africa. By inducing the offenders to chant the Hare Krishna mantra, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exemplified the success of the Krishna consciousness movement. We should follow very respectfully in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya, and there is no doubt that we shall be successful in our attempts. Probably along the same lines, I guess Prabodhananda Saraswati wrote a very beautiful verse explaining what Srila Prabhupada is trying to communicate here. He writes, Dante nidhai pranakam padyor nipatya kritva jata pushatame tadaham bravime he sadhava sakal eva vihaya durat gauranga chandra charane kurutanurag. So he writes that holding a straw in the tree. So basically, he's instructing how preaching should be done, or what is the meat, what should be the mood while preaching. And he says, while holding a straw in the mouth, we should fall flat at the feet of all worldly men, and then we should glorify them. Sir, you are very big scholar. You are a very learned person. You are filled with many laudable qualities. But my dear sir, the philosophy that you are following is a bogus philosophy. And Chaitanya Chandracharane Purushartha kindly have attachment and affection to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even Mahaprabhu, if we see how Mahaprabhu during his instructions to Haridas Thakur and Nityanand Prabhu, he says uh, to go from door to door and electrify people. Eta boli Nityananda bhume gadi jaye, Sunar Parvat jino dhula pilataye. Even in his preaching, this is Srimad Nityananda Prabhu has shown the same mood of being merciful upon even offenders. Jagai Madhai being the celebrated case. There is one more point that I would like to highlight here, which is being continually discussed from previous verses, that the importance of hearing that Panchatattva also mentioned, how Shusho Shabdadhanase Vasudeva Katharuchi Shyam Hatsevya Pitra Punyatritnishevana, how simply by hearing the Siddhanta, they basically didn't do anything else. Just by hearing from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, their hearts completely transformed. That is something which can be contemplated upon and uh, which can be thought upon how important process of simply hearing is. That Vidyate Hridaya Granthi Shuddhyanti Saraswati, all the system philosophy that's been brimming the hearts of these Mayavadi philosophers was cleaned simply by the process of hearing. So yeah, beautiful purport. Thank you very much.
Jai Jai. Thank you so much, Sucharadeva Prabhu. Hare Krishna. All good. All good.
Okay, I can go for the next verse.
All right.
151.
Yes, just a moment before you start, Prabhu, I just wanted to pick up one item in the chat window.
There's
Okay.
2 items.
What's that?
2 items.
Oh, there's 2. That's right. Murray Gupta Prabhu says, it's clear from hearing the remembrances of Srila Prabhupada's disciples that Prabhupada's bearing, tone of voice, and mannerisms all had the effect of humbling people before they started to seriously consider what Prabhupada was actually saying. So Lord Chaitanya's actual presence must have been overwhelming. Yes. Thank you for that, Prabhu. And also Tulsi Priya says, just to clarify, my comparison of the sages in Lord Ram's time to the Mayavadi sannyasis is simply noticing a change of heart from a dry, more impersonal kind of spiritual practice to bhakti in general, not a particular rasa. Okay, good. All right. Thank you. All right, Mahesh Pandit.
तबे सब सन्यासी महाप्रभु के लेया भिक्षा करिले न सभे मध्य व वात्सल्य. After this, all the sannyasis took the Lord in their midst, and thus they all took their meal together. Previously, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu neither mixed nor talked with the Mayavadi sannyasis, but somehow is taking lunch with them. It is to be concluded that when Lord Chaitanya induced them to chant Hare Krishna and excuse them for their offenses, they were purified, and therefore there was no objection to taking lunch or Bhagavad Prasad with them. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew that the foodstuff were not offered to the deity, Mayavadi sannyasi do not worship the deity, or they do so. They generally worship the deity of Lord Shiva or the Panchakopashana, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, Durga Devi, Ganesh, and Surya. Here, we do not find any mention of the demigods or Vishnu, and yet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted food in the midst of sannyasis on the basis that they had chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and that he had excused their offenses. Wow. So yeah, usually we offer foodstuff to Krishna and then take them as a mercy or as a prasad. But here, when all the sannyasis try to offer Chaitanya Mahaprabhu the foodstuff, he didn't deny that. He didn't deny it. And this one sentence here that tells you why he did not deny. And therefore, there was no objection. Oh, there you go. When Lord Chaitanya induced them to chant Hare Krishna and excuse them for their offenses, they were purified. And therefore, there was no objection of taking lunch or Bhagavad Prasad with them. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew that the foodstuff was not offered to the deity. So, being a Supreme Personality Godhead himself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pardoned them. And along with that also, he pardoned them and then took the prasadam together. He can do that. Sometimes we also have some occasions that we feel like, no, it's not offered and this and that. And in one way, we don't want to offend anybody. So the best way to do that is you can offer them in your mind to Krishna before you take the foodstuff. That one way to avoid any embarrassment. And it happens sometimes. But usually we also don't take foodstuff that's not offered to Krishna. But in certain cases, you have to, according to time and place, you have to judge that way. Krishna forgives you, especially when you're trying to please the opposite party and trying to preach Krishna consciousness. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took prasad with them, which is very glorious. Even though they worship Pancha Upasana, which includes Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, Durga Devi, Ganesh, and Surya. So here is an example that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches us that in order to establish the relationship with the opposite party, sometimes you have to kind of be cool about it and not to offend further. All right.
Jai, thank you, Prabhu. And Tulsi Priya says, also, a non-devotee who offers something to the devotee pleases Krishna, does he not? Yes. I found something I wanted to share. Thank you so much again, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu, for everything you've said. I was looking to see, Prabhupada himself spoke on these verses very early on. This is 1967, March 1967 in San Francisco, on these very verses. So I just wanted to read two of the comments that he made to his followers at that time on this. So on the previous verse where Lord Chaitanya excused all the offenses of the Mayavadi sannyasis and blessed them with Krishna Nam, Prabhupada said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu excused all these offenders. Anyone who is godless, he is offender. So when they chanted Krishna Krishna and accepted the Vedanta philosophy according to the explanation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he excused them. That is the significance of Lord Chaitanya. He is very merciful. He excuses. Without excuse, how can he deliver the fallen souls of this age? Their condition is very precarious. Their duration of life is very small, and they're not very intelligent, very slow to understand the importance of spiritual life. And even they are a little advanced. They are under the clutches of many so-called bogus societies. So therefore, their condition is very precarious. So there is no other alternative than to excuse them. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu excused them. And then this verse we just read, all the sannyasis took the Lord into their midst, thus they all took their meal together. Prabhupada says, then all the sannyasins, placing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the middle. According to Indian system of dining, you are accustomed, they sit in a line. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was requested to sit in the middle. And thus they took prasadam. So there's more on that, but I don't want to spoil the upcoming surprises of the commentary. So hopefully we can get to that next week. Hare Krishna. And I was thinking...
That's pretty good that you found this. So nice.
Sometimes it's nice to see, Prabhupada himself is saying on these very points that we're discussing. It's like, nice. We are at our 756 point. And wait, one more comment here in the chat. Yes, Tulsi Priya says, makes me think of that picture of Krishna having lunch with the Gopas.
That's right.
Yeah. So last time we wanted Panchatattva Prabhu to lead a kirtan. His microphone would not allow him to do so. But I think we can hopefully make up for that this evening.
Yes.
Unless his microphone has got other plans.
It's working.
Krishna wanted that Krishna Kaunteya would lead. And it was really nice too. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Privrajagacharya Stotra Sata Shri Shimad, His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Privrajagacharya Stotra Sata Shri Shimad, His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Gangamayi Ki Jai. Yamunamayi Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you, Panchatattva Prabhu. And thank you to everyone for being here. It won't take long. I can thank everyone individually. Thank you, Tulsi Priya. Thank you, Mahesh Pandit. Thank you, Dana, Krishna Kanteya, Lakshmana, Meena, Murari Gupta, Praveen Krishna, Priyanka, and Surabhi Kunja. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ekendra Prabhu.
Thank you, Akenda Prabhu.
Jai, jai, jai.
And Mahesh Pandit Prabhu.
Thank you,
Thank you all.
Prabhu.
Thank you, Mother Tulsi Priya.
Thank you, Prabhu. And I'm concerned about Maharaj now. I guess we have ways of getting in touch with him, and we should try to do so.
Praveen Krishna Prabhu, do you have any contact with him where you are? You can maybe let us know if you know any.
I think he's in South Africa.
Yeah, Maharaj is there, but I don't know if Praveen Krishna Prabhu might know anything.
Yeah.
There was some Africa mentioned in the somewhere in purport, wasn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so Surabhi Kunjmata says he's coming to Durban today, so maybe it's a travel day. He should be okay. So
Could be.
Thanks for that.
Thanks to Praveen Krishna Prabhu for being on and reminding us just by his presence of His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami.
Shri Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj and friends ki jai.
Gaur Premanande.
Haribol!
Did anybody say Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai?
You did.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Hey, honey.
Haribol. Haribol.